Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj, and today we have Wendy Harrington with us. Welcome to the
Hi.
podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to get to have a conversation with you today.
I'm glad that you're here. Okay, so who's Wendy Harrington, and what does Beacon Creative Labs do?
So, who am I? That is a really difficult question, but I would say I am someone who throws all my energy whenever I can to helping someone make their path better in life. And so I do that in a few different ways. I have been running Beacon Creative Lab, which is a company I founded about 5 years ago. And we work with small businesses to help them articulate their message better, understand what they're trying to accomplish, and then implement different strategies to help them get there. That could be developing websites. It could be helping them with nurturing customer relationships through email. We've added in local SEO and then sort of going back in time a little bit and reconnecting with some early roots that I had. I also work with people individually and as a business, coaching them to help them really have their own insights about what it is that maybe they want to accomplish that they haven't yet focused on in their work or in their life. And then to really get clear on the action steps needed. So we work a lot on choosing the priorities that are true versus the ones that maybe are just distractions because you think you're supposed to be doing them or someone told you you're supposed to be doing them. So we work a lot on people making their world a better place and for themselves and others. So that's probably the core piece of what I do work wise. I'm also in my local Rotary Club and lead some other entrepreneur mastermind groups and so forth. But so a bunch of different things we could talk about.
Okay, so how do you get started in coaching, and why do you blend it with marketing?
Well, it may be better the other way around. So, as you mentioned when we were talking pre-show, my father had been in marketing for a very long time in the days when, there was no such thing as social media or anything else. And he had a direct marketing agency. Um, and I, of course, whatever, growing up, worked for him in high school and college, and then about 8 years after that as well. And what I liked about that piece was that we were trying to connect somebody with a product. In most cases, it was a product that they couldn't easily find on their own. And so we were filling a need. A lot of people that we worked with were book publishers and so forth. And it was at that time, there was no Amazon. You couldn't just run to the computer and order something. And so we were helping people find things that they were going to find valuable. And I really stayed away through most of my career from advertisers that were really just trying to part you with their money because it was in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And choose instead people who were on a mission of some kind, which is how I got into small business marketing many years later. It was really my focus was connecting with the passion that people had. And they weren't just doing it. I mean, of course, you're in business, you want to make money, you have a life to live, you want things for your family, but they all also had some level of passion for the people they were trying to serve. So the coaching kind of grew out of that. Initially, it was more focused on helping people find their purpose. I felt like this was shortly after 9/11, and I was in New York, and a lot of people were really struggling, trying to figure out what is the difference between making a living and making a life. And so that really intrigued me as well. I had a young daughter at the time, and as I went through that journey, I discovered I was pretty good at listening to people and helping identify those little nuggets in what they said that might create a different perspective for them and reveal something in themselves that maybe they had not thought about really before. As I moved on in life, I was blending these things a lot. And so now, many years later, Beacon is in North Carolina, and we work with primarily small businesses on this journey of figuring out how to do a better job of conveying what they do in what is a massively overcrowded space. Someone mentioned to me yesterday that I think the current number is something like between 5,000 and 6,000 messages that you are facing every day. And so I feel like, in a way, I've come full circle. And maybe we all have that. It's not about how to sell your thing. It's about how to connect what you have to offer with the people who are looking for that. And so the better that you can convey the message, the more effective you'll be, and the more that you're freed up to continue to serve them and in the process, hopefully serve yourself a little bit as well.
So I'm curious, like, how do you keep your clients focused because you said like too many messages, and plus they also have to avoid shiny object syndromes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that I think that's difficult for all of us, especially in the entrepreneurial space. We have ideas all the time. I mean, you've probably experienced this as well. You can't stop yourself from having all these new great ideas. So how do you decide which ones to gravitate to? And how do you not judge yourself if you go down a path and then realize it's not the right one? Because sometimes that can trip you up and be a problem too. So I think where we can, it is to slow people down enough to be able to think about where this particular shiny object or, what it is that they're putting out, how it fits into a picture of their vision as a whole, their values. A lot of times we think that this is, we're going to go down a certain path because it is, um, it sounds so right. It's what other people have done. We've read a book about a system, or we listened to an expert who said, this is how I did it. And so we think that that's going to be the right path. And it may be the right path, it may be partially the right path. But the more we can identify the real sort of core element of an idea or of a project or a plan and allow it to have the space it needs to take shape, the easier it is to stay on track. And, by all means, capture the idea if you want, but you only have so much bandwidth. So we do a lot of looking at what is that big vision? How do we identify the action steps to get there? And then also assess your bandwidth. What do you really have time to focus on? There's a question that I love. It's been really powerful for me anyway. So as we're looking at what your to-do list is for the day, I want to say this may have been from Brian Tracy or somebody like that. And the question became, what one thing could you do today that would have the biggest impact on your business if you were to leave for a month, right? So what is that thing that would actually move your business forward or would allow somebody else to carry the tasks forward? So it's not just about you and what you do, it's about your team. So, we look at some of those specific questions and try to figure out the right one to be staying focused on.
Okay, yeah. Like what you said, make me ask myself, what should I focus on?
What is the right focus for you?
Oh, like for real, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so actually, I'm working on building an automation right now,
Mm,
and also a system for my marketing company. Yeah. So, can you talk about what was the year? Yeah, it's 1986 that you joined your father's tax
mm-hmm,
response marketing company in New York.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
At that time and right now, okay, that response marketing is very much different, right? From that time, what do you think? What is the best lesson we can use right now?
Mm, best lesson.
Personally, here's what I think. I think that before we have to spend a lot of money, okay, in direct response
Mm-hmm.
marketing, and now it's very cheap, and because of that, people not take it that much seriously. Don't it's not they're not using it to their fullest potential because of that. That's what I think. What's your thought?
I think that's true. Someone had said to me yesterday that they're here from Australia. And they said, what's really different about advertising in the US, and you'll have to tell me what it's like in India, because I don't
Hmm.
know. It said in the US, everything has to play on the heartstring. Everything is about the emotion. And in Australia, we just tell you to buy. And so, there is a little bit of that that's different, right? We create stories here, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Where I feel like we go a little astray is the generating hype around that so that it's no longer about the ultimate outcome. It's about the excitement of the new. It's about this thing. It's like this very short term thinking. And, I think this also applies to the question you asked before that if we're always focused on short term thinking and what that next right thing is, without having it in context of what the bigger vision is, what the bigger result can be, then we're much more likely to get pulled off in every different direction. When it comes to our advertising, the temptation is always going to be there to jump on the bandwagon and write the longer landing page and come up with the hypier whatever deal. But it is short term thinking, and I really aim to help people think in terms of this being a longer term investment. the numbers are still the same. Like if you can keep a customer for a long time, it's going to be so much more profitable for you. And hopefully a better relationship across the board means lots of other good ripple effects will come from it as well. So it's really trying to, as a marketer, I try to actually get people to pull back a bit from those sort of hypey kind of sales aspects, because I think in the long run, it can damage the relationship that you have and make your retention harder.
So they should focus much more on relationship.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. And even
Uh,
in your automation, like as you're
uh,
talking about building automations,
yeah,
how do
yeah.
you make those automations feel more realistic, more like the flow that you would have if you were actually doing all of your work with all of the people who are following you in person? Can you make it be natural? And I think that's a really important thing. People are hungry for true connection now. And, if we can try to find a way to create that type of impact with people, it does make a difference to their trust level and their willingness to refer. Those things that really can help a business build a solid foundation.
But then you also do email marketing, right? Okay, so what is the thing that you have changed in the last few years that people used to do that before?
Hmm. We try to integrate more video than we ever did before. Most of the work that we do, we're not doing a lot of selling off the page in our email. Most of it is client nurturing or list nurturing. So they may be ultimately still aiming to buy, but it's more about information and connect.
Okay, wait a sec. When you said you're not selling, there is no link to buy is in the email. Is that what you're saying?
There is, but it's subtle
Okay, like
in
soft.
most cases. Yeah, in most cases, it's more of a soft sell. There's a lot of the people that we're working with are selling a service. So you're not necessarily buying right off the page. You may be booking, you may book a call or, something like that. But in general, the work that we're doing is more about helping people connect with it could be an information lesson. It could be a community growth, something like that. And so the selling message is more subtle as opposed to I don't know, reaching out to a business owner, trying to get them to, you know, transition to a new MSP or, buy, a new computer. It's
Well,
not quite that sort of direct hard selling.
okay, okay. So can you
And it's
share us like
definitely steering people away from those spamming the list. Like don't comb your LinkedIn profile and then start emailing everybody. It's just a bad idea.
I think people who are not aware of what they are doing, they do that.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so can you share be very specific, okay? Who do you
Okay.
have?
Who do we help?
Like because
I
small
would say
because, because small businesses they are very wide, okay?
yes.
So
I would say our the bulk of the clients that we serve range from being a solopreneur to about 25, 30 employees. They're in different parts of the country, but they work locally primarily. So they are interested in, getting people to work with them who might be in, let's say, a 50-mile radius or something like that. They provide some kind of either B2B or B2C service. It could be somebody in home improvement. It could be a therapist or a coach, wellness person. We have several dog trainers in different parts of the country. And, so people who are providing some kind of value. So I would say those are the main people. And they are looking to build relationships to raise the trust level so that people choose them first, to truly understand what they can do, and sometimes to use information to help their prospect or their customer see that there is another level of service or some different type of solution that can be provided that maybe they haven't thought of before. And to see how this company does it in a different way. It's very much about trying to communicate those nuances that can sometimes get lost if all they're doing is seeing random things in their social feed.
okay, okay. So what personality trait or habit would you attribute majority of your success to?
I think I would say it's listening.
Listening.
Yeah, and I think I was actually having a conversation at the end of my Rotary meeting this morning and with two people who I've done some work with, and they were they were telling me how they were very grateful to have somebody who they could just say whatever they were, whatever they were thinking and know that it was being heard, not just for the words, but also the motivation behind it. And even sometimes to help make connections that they didn't make and be able to put that message out and ask them questions that would help them articulate their thoughts better. So similar to what you do in your podcast, I think, but I
Yes.
think that's what I hear the most. People feel like there's a different quality of listening. And maybe that just comes because I feel like everybody's got something that they have to offer the world. And if there's a way that I can help figure out how to get them a step forward or 10 steps forward to do it, then I will have felt like my time here on earth was good. And that's pretty much it.
That's very kind of you.
I don't know. Sometimes it's a little bit like an albatross, but it's what it is. So I'm going to stick with it.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's fun. I just love working with people. They're, endlessly fascinating and, so many good ideas out there.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so looking back when you started, what's the one lesson you would tell yourself if you have to restart today?
I think that it would be to know that there's no need to try to be the right person for everybody, but just to be who you are, and the energy that you put out will end up making you connect with the people who you need to connect with, to the people who you're there for. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to judge yourself harshly if someone likes you or doesn't like you. It's not, that's out of your control. All you can do is be you.
Okay, so what's the best book you have ever read that has the most impact in your life?
That's a really difficult one. I think looking around this room, we have like 700 books or something like that in my shelf. Wow, that's really difficult. I should have prepared for that, being an writer myself.
Surprise.
Wow. Okay. Um, Come on, Wendy, you can come up with something. No, I can't think of one.
Okay, you can say three.
Well, it's funny. I always, even though there probably are things that I would pick apart of it now, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People was definitely one that was meaningful to me. Profit First, from a small business running standpoint, I think Profit First is very helpful for giving you a structure for managing cash flow. And then just for me personally, that's where we get back to the difficult one, right?
Yeah.
I think probably what shifted me and started me feeling like it was more acceptable and perhaps even a good idea to move down the path of combining coaching with work in the way that I have it was a book from a long time ago called The Power of Full Engagement, I think is what it was. It was somebody who had come out of the sports world and was applying that idea to how to help people manage their energy and their focus and their vision in business. And I think that was a bit of a turning point book for me too.
Okay. And in direct response marketing, okay, direct response word, what book would you recommend someone to read today?
I'm not sure that there was one that I felt ever quite did the job for me.
You can say multiple because for me it's
Hmm.
multiple.
Well, tell me what your favorite was. What's
Okay.
the biggest one for you?
Okay. For direct response, right? Okay. So first there's a book called Email Marketing Hold. Sorry, Email Client Hold. Okay. So it
Mm,
sells me on why list building is the most important thing for business.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And second is infotainment jackpot. Have you read that one?
Well, I haven't, but I've heard of it. I mean, obviously no Jack Trout, but I haven't
Huh?
actually had read that one.
Uh,
I'll have
okay.
to add it to my list.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about entertaining people while selling them something.
Mm-hmm.
There's also one called copy draws.
Ooh. Okay.
It's about when people attack your business, how can we use those attacks to make more sales? So,
Okay, there we
so,
go.
so
That's very good. Interesting. When you were talking, reminded me of another one. I don't know if you've ever read The Power of Moments. It's great. One of the things I really like about it is the way that they pull from just a cross section of so many different avenues of life to show how it's a little bit in the storytelling idea, but how you can transform the way someone feels and then what they do, how they behave towards your business, but it goes way beyond just business and create a powerful memory and powerful moment and how those things can really drive change. Yeah, it's a great book. I love all the examples they have.
Okay, so you said you have 700 book, approx 700 books, right?
Yeah, easily.
So what do you think? If you haven't read those books, how your life will be different if you haven't read those books?
I can't imagine life without reading. Whether it's just getting a glimpse into how somebody, because we have both fiction and nonfiction. I'm a junkie of both sides. And on the nonfiction side, it ranges from, obviously gobs of personal development and business development, but also science and, history and all that kind of stuff. And then my major when I was in college was 19th century English lit. So I have a lot of long-winded fiction. And then, some of the more faster paced spy novels. I'm a mystery geek for sure. I actually just published a mystery novel of my own.
Wow, what's the
Finally,
name? What's the
it's
name?
called Death Comes to Dudley.
That's a really good name. Oh my God,
Yeah,
of course. You're a
I love
direct
it.
response marketer. It'll be a good name.
Well, it came to me, it was intuition. I don't know. But yeah, I do love it. I love that character working on the next one now. But I think that it really is, and I don't know if this is true, but I feel like it has helped me keep my imagination alive. Like you be so good with imagination when we're children. And very often the focused practices of school or, living up to, all the things that people say that we have to do, which just seems to be more and more and more higher bars to raise all the time. And we lose touch with imagination. A lot of people really don't know how to access it. But I feel like the ability to read and absorb and sit with something and allow yourself to flow into it in a way that is where you have to create the mental pictures. It's not just giving it to you by someone else's picture of it in a video. I mean, not that that's not powerful too. I like them both. But to be able to come up with those images yourself, I think it helps exercise to some extent your imagination muscle. And I think that is what allows you to create a stronger vision, something that's more powerful and more impactful. So yeah, I think if I hadn't had all these books, didn't continue to be a library junkie and a bookstore junkie, then it would be a very pastel world that I live in, not the bright
Yeah,
colors that I like.
feel the same way.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I
Okay,
love
so
one book lover to another.
yes. Okay, so can you share any of the case studies?
Can I what?
Can you share any of your clients' success story?
Yeah. Well, let's see. There's two. There's big ones and little ones. I think, well, like just a very small one.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's small now, but I think it will be bigger. There's a woman who I have done some work with for her business, and we had just a one-off coaching session. And I asked her, what is something that you have as a goal or that you had as an idea and you haven't given yourself time to work on it yet? And she had always wanted to do some work to help with domestic violence. And so while we were having that conversation and she kind of painted the picture of what she had in mind, she'd obviously given it a lot of thought at different times. And so I challenged her to reach out to somebody right then while we were having our conversation. And she did. And now, a few months later, plans are in the work for a major center that she is partnering with some other people on. And she herself is creating a smaller venue for people who have been affected by domestic violence to have a safe space that they can go in between the emergency care place and the rest of their life. And it's just one conversation. So it's just really, just really remarkable. And then on the marketing front, we've got so many stories. The SEO stuff that can be very helpful just by building trust.
Mhm.
I had a client who we were able to move her from non-existent to page one of Google in a different town, but nearby where she wanted to be focusing. And she stayed up there after just 6 months work for at least 3 years. I mean, I don't like to just throw money at stuff if you don't need to. So we tend to make an investment of 3 or 4 months, see where somebody is. Then if we need to do some more, we do. If they're doing fine, we hold until they're in need of I don't know, infusion of material that will help them rise. So, that works from an SEO standpoint in pretty much all the cases. The websites, what we hear the most is that they feel like people who they get are a better quality customer. So, everything from, the commercial construction company that we didn't rebuild their site, but we redid their messaging, and now they are able to get contracts that they didn't have before. And just there's so many of these things. Yeah, I guess those are probably the ones that stand out the most for me.
That's great. Okay, so for our listeners who want to know more about you or want to connect with you, where can they go?
Probably the easiest is either the website or Facebook. We have a page there. It Beacon, like, Lighthouse Beacon, Creative Lab. .com, and all of the rest of our connections are through there. I think there are other Wendy Harringtons on LinkedIn, and it's like Wendy-Harrington 2 or something like that. But in any case, if you look for Beacon Creative Lab, you'll definitely find me.
Okay. But I'm curious, you do local SEO, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So by the way, like, is global SEO totally different than local SEO?
Yes. Yeah. The strategies are quite different. What you have to do is there's a lot more that you have to do to get to come up for it. Well, I guess it depends. I mean, we've had some success with true long tail keywords, but this was prior to AI being as big as it is now, and we have not really tried to do that in this new space. We're seeing that the work that we're doing on a local level is still effective when people are using AI for searching, but to get you to come up in in snippets and so forth when you're looking for a much broader range and for a narrower keyword term, then that becomes much more difficult, which is why we don't play in that world.
Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to share?
Well, mostly, I guess I just always welcome people if they, if they want to have a conversation about something that they feel like they want to get a little clarity on. I'm always open. I always save some time in my calendar every week to do some gifted sessions. And then locally, we have a group that meets weekly called the Biz Journey, and there is a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group for them as well. But it is designed to create a space where the entrepreneur who can't think of anything but their business, and their friends are tired of hearing it, and their family's tired of hearing it, and they can't talk to their employees, but they can come and they can talk to us, and we'll put our minds to work on problem solving and ideating and creating connections.
Okay, so
there's information about that on the website too.
Okay. So people can go to that group from your website.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to get to talk to you a little bit. Hopefully we get to learn more down the road.
Awesome, Wendy. Okay. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. It was really great chatting with you.
Likewise. Thank you.